Okay, so we're at the Octagon House. This is really a beautiful, beautiful place. I mean, we've toured it, we've walked upstairs, it's 3 stories high. So would you like to tell us the history of the house?
Okay, this house was built in 1859. It was built by a man named, Benjamin Franklin Petty. Mr. Petty was originally from New York. He came down here in 1834, shortly after the district opened, after the Indian Creek, the Creek Treaty of 1833. He built this, originally he built a little wooden house here. And it burned in about 1858. But being from New York, he made certain trips back and forth to visit his mother, and also he ran a mercantile, and he had bought, across the street, he bought some lots and had a carrot shop. So he would go to New York for supplies. And while he was there, in 1854, a man named Fowler wrote a book about the Octagon type of architecture, and it was called A Home for Everyone. In his book, he described how you could build this house with local supplies, anything. There were many, many built in the 1850s, 60s, and almost to 1890. They were built of wood. This house happens to be built of a type of cement made from sand and local products. The walls are about 18 inches thick. They were built in sections going up. As you said, it's 3 stories high, so it was quite a deal to build it. But he built it of this type of material so it wouldn't burn, because it had already been burned out once.
Yeah.
Besides the 3 stories above ground, there's also a story below.
Oh.
Yes.
Didn't know about that.
Yes. What it is, it's a basement that was dug underground, and it was used as a winter kitchen. Because in those days, kitchens as a rule were separate from the homes for fire purposes. The winter one, and being below ground, it would be safer. So in the wintertime, they cooked in the kitchen. In the summer, they had an external kitchen.
Oh, which is sitting out there?
Yes,
okay.
It was reconstructed. When they reconstructed the house, they did it to use it for that. But the house itself, the kitchen during the winter helped to warm. It came up. As you saw, each of the rooms have a fireplace. And the fireplace has a chimney. The 4 chimneys go up to the ceiling to the cupola. In the summer, the cupola was opened. These long, tall windows that are on the side could be opened, and it formed an early form of air conditioning. But in the wintertime, they closed the cupola, and the heat stayed in the house. It was a central core.
Wow.
As you also noticed, we talked upstairs about each room going one to the other. That was also circulation of air. But the oddity is each of these bedrooms had a closet and a sitting room, or an additional room which could be used as a dressing room. In 1860, it's amazing, because homes much later than that never had closets.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things into the house. Mr. Petty had 3 wives and raised 17 children in this home. He was from New York. He did not apparently own slaves, but he must have had a lot of help with 17 kids. And during the Civil War period, Mr. Petty was here. He provided 2 sons to the Confederacy, but he was basically still an orphan. So I had heard from someone very dependable that during the period of the war, he would go to the cupola and watch for the Yankees to come. And when he saw Brigadier General Grierson coming, he went out to greet him and offered this house as his headquarters. Partially, they say, to keep the family from molestation and to keep the house from being looted.
Right.
The Yankees stated that it was indeed much like a fortress. With the walls that are 18 inches thick, it would be hard. Unless you got by the window, you might not get hit. But it has some features that we're putting out today as new But here it was in 1854, this man thought of it, Mr. Mallard. And the home is beautiful. The floors are quarter sawed oak and original to the house. But the furnishings are not. The only original furnishings would be the two tapestries on the wall, one in here and one in the living room. The other furnishings have been provided either by gifts or purchase over the years to keep the house in its period time. Mm-hmm. It's now used by the city of Clayton for receptions and things like that. But it's here, it's on the National Historical Records, and it's one of, I believe, 7 in the United States left of this type of architecture. A prime one would be Longwood at Natchez, because it was unfinished, and you can see the structure, the internal structure of the house. This one being lived in and being a home until the late 70s, I believe. The descendants of the last descendant of Mr. Petty was Nanny, and his daughter Nanny married a man. I can't remember his name, but anyway, she inherited the house, and it was 2 people, and it was too much house for them. Mm-hmm. So they arranged an exchange with Judge Roberts for a house over on Eufaula that was just a cottage, and it was an exchange of house plus cash. Mm-hmm. And those people had a lot of children, and the Pettys didn't. Then when the last man to live in here was a Mr. Armistead, mm-hmm. and he lived here until his death. He married, Mr. Petty had 3 wives, and 17 children. Mm-hmm. He outlived 4 of his children. He only outlived 4 of his children. The rest of them passed away before he did, some in childhood. And his last child was Nanny. She inherited the house. And Judge Roberts' wife, Claudia, when they bought it, their daughter married a Mr. Armistead. Mm. And Mary was the one who stayed here until the 20s. When their daughter married, they turned the upstairs into an apartment. Oh, okay. They closed off the central hallway, which was the stairs we went up to the cupola, and floored that over. That became a closet. Oh. So it was 2 separate houses. Mm. They had an outside entrance to the upstairs. This was that way until the house was bought by the city and restored to its original condition. Mary's husband, Mr. Armistead, outlived her, and towards the end of his life, he rented the upstairs to him, Mr. Oates Caraway. Mr. Caraway was a historian and very interested in the history of the house. He did all of the research necessary to have the structure put on the National Register. When Mr. Armistead died and the estate was settled, and the city of Clayton, in 1981, the city of Clayton purchased this house and had it restored. They set up a commission to do it. Mm-hmm. And as you see it now is how it was done. It belongs to the city of Clayton. It's open for visits. I think there is a nominal fee to do it. I'm not sure. You can check with the Clayton record, and they can tell you what the fee is to come in. You just call and make an appointment, individually or as a group. Mm. It's a treasure. As I said, it's one of, I believe, 7 in the United States left of this type of architecture. And it's so far advanced for its time that it's unbelievable what this man thought of when he did it. And I believe that's probably why it caught on as such a fad.